What's going on, guys? How's it going? So I've got some really cool and exciting news. Right now, actually, the newest update on Periscope actually allows you to do a landscape video. So if you guys, can you guys see me in landscape, or is there like a weird bar that's kind of all over the place? Because if you can see me in landscape, that is awesome, because that means that you have the most up-to-date version of Periscope, and that means that I'm able to put these bad boys up on YouTube without doing a whole bunch of editing to them, which is really exciting. So we're good on landscape. Beautiful. Awesome. That's very exciting. I'm really happy about that. So I hope you guys are having a great day. Kids are screaming in the background. It's just, the way it goes. So I'm back from New York and just about to watch the US Open men's final, which is obviously very exciting. Federer and Djokovic. You guys are going to be watching that too. It's going to be a lot of fun. And obviously it's a rain delay, so I figured, hey, you know what? I'm going to jump on, not Skype, on Periscope with you to talk about the #1 most dangerous activity for your waistline. And I'm just kind of sifting through some pages of stuff here, and I'll share this with you in a second. But the reason I'm talking about this, or I want to talk about this with you guys today, is because I was in an Uber this morning going from my hotel in Stamford, Connecticut to LaGuardia, so it's about a 45-minute drive. And Uber is way better than taking a taxi cab. I mean, if you guys have taken Uber, it's 1,000 times better. And my driver's name was Mario, a really nice guy, and probably about 50 pounds overweight. So we got to talking about, what I did and stuff. And obviously whenever I mention what I do, I start getting like 1,000 questions, right? So what do you recommend about this? And what do you think about this? And what should I do about this? And obviously because I love helping, I try to give him some very simple things to put into play. So what I want to suggest to you is, one of the things I was telling him is, he's a driver and he spends most of his time driving, which means he's spending most of his time sitting. And what I want to share with you here are some really startling facts about sitting with respect to your ability to lose weight. And so awesome, we've got an Uber driver in Switzerland. Awesome, good stuff. Okay, so just bear with me for a second. I'm going to read you a passage from my book, and okay, check this out, okay? All right, so it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that if we don't move enough, we won't be burning calories, and thus we will have trouble losing weight. In fact, we're much more likely to gain weight, especially if we continue eating higher amounts of the wrong foods. Check out these frightening stats. According to a 2008 Vanderbilt University study of 6,300 people, it was estimated that the average American spends 55% of his or her waking hours, or about 7.7 hours, sitting or sedentary. That's a lot, right? Considering that we're awake for maybe 16 of those hours, so that's quite a bit. A 2010 study by the American Cancer Society found that women and men who were inactive and sat for more than 6 hours a day were 94% and 48% more likely to die respectively than their counterparts who sat less than 3 hours per day. Crazy stuff. And I continue here. So we also have to take into consideration what happens inside our bodies when we're sitting down. Sitting decreases the activity of an enzyme called lipoprotein lipase, or LPL, which helps burn fat. So essentially, if you're sitting, that enzyme is dormant and it doesn't help your body burn fat. Too much sedentary time decreases bone mineral density without increasing bone formation, which raises the risk of fracture. Furthermore, excess sitting increases blood pressure and decreases the diameter of your arteries, both of which make heart disease more likely. What's even crazier, okay? Here's where it gets even better. What's even crazier, if you guys are liking this, get your friends in it. They need to hear this stuff, and thank you for all the hearts, keep them coming. What's even crazier is that these findings were just as strong in people who exercise regularly. In our modern world, we believe that we can go to the gym for an hour and wash away all of our sedentary sins, but it just doesn't work like that. If you work in an office, commute by car, and watch a few hours of TV each night, it's not hard to see how you can spend the vast majority of your waking life, up to 15 hours a day, sitting on your butts. And this is a far cry from the evolutionary norms for humans and has serious consequences for our health. So, sitting is not good stuff. Now let me give you another simple way of understanding why sitting is just not good for your body. So one of the beautiful things about exercise is it gets your heart rate elevated, right? Your heart starts contracting, more blood and oxygen to your muscles, and that's why your heart gets elevated as you increase the intensity, because your more muscles are working, they require more oxygen. How do you get more oxygen to the muscles? The heart has to contract faster and more forcefully to get it there. Now, and that's perfect, right? That's how you keep your heart strong. That's how you get it stronger and fitter. When you are sitting, let me ask you a question. When you're sitting down, does your heart have to work as hard, or even let's just say laying down, does your heart have to work, and speaking of hearts, love the hearts, thank you so much. When you are sitting, does your heart have to work as hard to move blood from your feet to your head? What do you think? Compared to standing. So yes or no? And as you guys figure this out, I'm going to just take my sweater off because I'm actually pretty toasty. Okay, so we got no answers. Well, that's interesting. Okay, so we got a yes, no, no, and actually I can't even remember how I framed the question, so I don't even know if it's a yes or no. Okay, so when you're sitting, right, you have less vertical distance to move blood from the floor or from your feet to your head. If you're standing, now you have much greater distance to move blood from the floor, from your feet to your head. So that increased vertical distance means that your heart has to work that much harder, even though you're not out of breath, than when you're sitting. And just that alone, if you get that, and if you understand that spending more time standing, I'm not even talking about exercise, I'm talking about standing alone can make a profound difference. Standing increases muscle tone, it increases muscle activation. It's going to require your heart to move blood to the top of your head, which is good for the health of your heart. It's also going to force you to... Oh, hello. We have a minion who has entered the room. Do you want to come do this Periscope with me, buddy? Come here. Come close the door. So Luca has entered the room. Yes, so the heart works less when you sit down, when you lay down as well. That's why when you're tired, what do you want to do? Stand up or lay down? Lay down, most likely, right? Okay. All right, here we go. Can you introduce yourself? What's your name?
Luca.
Yeah, what's that?
Luca.
Luca. Can you wave? Wave to the camera? Yeah, this is Luca. This is our little almost 3-year-old. He's the little funny comedian in our house. Look at these cheeks. Look at these cheeks. Mwah. Do you want to say anything to the camera? What do you want to say? What do you want to say, buddy? How old are you?
Luca.
How old are you, buddy? Are you...
4.
You're 4? Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
I don't know about that one. I think Oscar's 4. You, my friend, do you want to stand up here? Or do you want to go see our look? Oh.
No.
You want to go? No! He almost knocked the camera or the phone off. I was like, all right, you gotta go now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So that's Luca. He's our middle one. He's hilarious. He's so much fun. So we were talking about standing versus sitting versus laying down. So here's another thing, if you're going to stand. So right now I'm standing at a standing desk that we had made. So if you can see behind me, that's kind of a built-in desk that we have in the office here. So I'll spend some of my time sitting there, and then I'll spend a lot of my time standing. So it's not that standing all the time is the best thing to do, because you can also get blood pooling in your feet. So you want to be moving around, right? You want to kind of like come up onto your toes and just kind of like, bounce around a little bit, and that's going to keep your muscles active. So no, you should not always stand up. But what you want to think about doing is, if you are standing, is don't just stand like a statue, right? Shift your body weight from side to side, come up onto your toes, go down into a squat, just get your muscles, like wake them up a little bit, right? Because every time you use your muscles in your legs, they provide a pumping mechanism to move blood back up to the top of your body. and you don't get any of the varicose veins and the blood pooling in your feet and all that discomfort. Now, I don't know if I have, no. If you're standing, here's another really cool thing. So if you guys have ever been to a pub, you'll notice, what do pubs at the bottom of the bar have, right? So if you're standing at the bar, what do most pubs have at the bottom of the bar? They'll usually have a bar, right? And the reason they have this bar at the bottom, a footstool, right? The reason they have that, and again, I don't know if this is the real reason, but this is what my theory is when you stand with equal weight between both legs, it becomes very tiring over time, right? You can only stand like that for so long. However, if you can put one foot up onto a footstool, just, maybe half a foot off the ground, try this right now as you're watching this. If you're not standing, please stand right now, and I want you to do this with me. So stand up, both feet, okay? Equal distribution between both feet. Now, if you can just put your foot onto just a slightly elevated surface, so maybe it's a step, maybe it's a stool if you have. So let's take your right foot, put it up onto that stool. What do you notice when you do that? What's the first thing that you notice if you kind of just tune in to what's happening at the muscular level in your legs? I'll give you guys a second to kind of figure this out and to respond, obviously, in the comments. Harder to balance, yes, that's one. Anything else? Anything you notice in your left leg? So it's easier to stand, yep. Left glutes, there we go, right there. That's the key. Awesome, and great answers. Thanks for playing. Thanks for playing Jeopardy. So muscles contracting, so there it is, that is the key. When you're standing with both legs, equal distribution on the floor, just feel your glutes right now. Just, without contracting them, right? There's not much going on. So now, put your left hand on your left glute, take your right foot off the floor, and notice the difference now. That glute is firing, right? It's a contralateral form. It's basically like when one limb moves up, the other limb has to stabilize it. So your glute contracts to stabilize your pelvis. And that's awesome. So going back to the bar and pub scenario, if you're able to put a foot up on your stool, on that footstool, it's more comfortable. And you don't leave as much of a stress or a load on your lower back as you do if you were standing both feet planted on the ground. So simply by elevating one foot into a stool or a little step, it shifts the weight, it forces that left glute or the right glute, whichever foot you have up, to contract. It stabilizes your pelvis, it reduces the load into your lower back, and it's much more comfortable. So if you are standing at a standing desk, get a footstool, put one foot up, work like that for 10, 15, whatever amount of time you need to, and then switch feet. Continue shifting back and forth. That way you're going to activate your glutes to stabilize you. It's really, really awesome. And it's a very simple way of reducing fatigue that can happen when you stand up. And I'm not talking about like ready for bed fatigue. I'm talking about leg fatigue, low back fatigue. So how many hours per day is it safe to sit? Well, it's tough to say. I mean, if you think, like, let's be realistic, we're all gonna sit, right? We all have to take a break at some time. But I think just the awareness of, like, if you're watching TV, and I'm guilty of this sometimes, I will full out just like veg and lay on the couch for like 2-3 hours. If I'm watching tennis, I'll just kind of like lay down and chill out. So I have to catch myself, and I'm like, okay, well, can I maybe get out of this lazy funk and stand up for 5-10 minutes, or maybe can I do some bodyweight squats, or even sit in a squatted position, which is going to help mobility and kind of all that stuff, which would be a topic for another video. But at the minimum, it's just kind of asking yourself, like, okay, I've been sitting for a long period of time. How, can I get up and move around, have a little stretch, activate my muscles, get my blood flowing? So it's tough to say that there's a magic number. If I were to say, well, 1 hour a day of sitting, I don't know. I mean, it's tough to say. So I would say just encourage you to think about, you can do, simple 3-minute exercises. In the book, I talk about doing more micro movements. So these micro movements would be things like, I don't know if you can catch me on tape here. So I could do things just like squats, right? So if I wake up in the morning, one of the first things I'll do is I'll do about 20 bodyweight squats. And you can do this when you're watching TV. So your commercial break, off the couch, 10 bodyweight squats. Watching TV while on a stationary bike, that's great. Awesome. Terrific. So whatever you can do to just kind of like get out of a stationary position, especially if it's sitting or lying down, get your body kind of like awakened again, right? Get those muscles primed. You don't have to like sweat up a storm, but it's taking your body through just really simple movements. So it could be bodyweight squats. Maybe you want to plank during a commercial break. If you're at work, spend about 15 to 20 minutes, 30 minutes at the most sitting down. Get up. Open up the chest, really open up those stiff areas, the hips, the groins, the hamstrings, loosen them up, have a little stretch, do some lunge walks to open up those hips. And if you can do that consistently throughout the day, then the hardcore workouts become less important. And that's a really important message I really want to get across to you, and I talk about it in my book, The All-Day Fat Burning Diet, is that it's not about working out more, it's about working out smarter so you work out less and actually stay more active. And what I'm talking about by being more active is how do you walk more often? How can you take the stairs more often? How can you do micro movements throughout the day so that you're more active and so that your workouts are not your only form of activity? Does that make sense for you guys? Because like as I've said before, we're spending on average 7.7 hours sitting per day, and again, our risk of dying from cancer is 94% and 48% greater for women and men respectively, and that is not canceled by working out regularly. So that's very, very, very important. So what can we do to chair? So I've talked about this before. So, okay, I don't know if you guys caught my video on the plank and how to kind of really activate your muscles properly. So let's say we're sitting in a chair, okay? I'm just going to use my bicep as an example for a second. So I'm sitting in my chair and I'm limp, literally just limp. I'm not activating anything. So now, what do you think happens, or what's required with this muscle right now? Okay, I'm just moving my limb, right? Taking through range of motion. There's not much mechanical effort. There's not much need for anything. Now, if I contract my bicep, okay, if I contract this bicep, now what's happening? These muscles are firing. And if you do this right now, actually try this right now and see what happens. Contract your bicep for the next 20 seconds, okay? And really get your whole forearm, clench your fist. I want you guys to do that for 20 seconds and let me know what you feel. Okay, can you guys do that for me? So I'm gonna just chill out here for a second as you guys are doing your bicep contraction. And let me know in the comments what is going on. What are you feeling in your arm, in your body as you do that? Heat. Perfect. So what's happening as you contract your muscles is that they're generating heat. And what happens when that happens is your body is essentially burning calories. So when you're sitting in a chair, let's say you can't get up and move around as much. Maybe you're driving. Here's a simple thing you want to do. First and foremost, to protect your spine and keep your posture good. Slight activation in your abdominals, okay? So this is a cross section of your core, okay? So again, I'm looking at the top of your body, looking at your core. If you have a big waist, it would be bigger, right? Smaller waist would be smaller. So what I want you to do with your core when you're sitting is, this is your belly button where my thumbs are. I want you to contract, slightly draw your belly button in towards your spine, and a slight contraction of your abs. It's not a full contraction, but maybe it's a slight contraction, just a little contraction. What that's going to do is it's going to activate the deeper core muscles, it's going to stabilize your spine and pelvis, and it's going to help you maintain much better stability and structure around your spine as you're sitting. Now, while you're doing that, that's just, if you can do that automatically, that's awesome. As you're sitting, here's another thing to think about is, let's say every 10 minutes is just do a full-on static contraction. So I want you guys to try this right now, okay? If you're sitting down, I want you to, from your fists all the way down to your feet, contract all of your muscles as hard as you can for 10 seconds, okay? So biceps, core, quads, glutes, everything, full-on contraction. Are you ready? 10 seconds. Go. 3 more seconds. Boom. Awesome. Relax. What did you experience? Again, let me know in the comments. Burning sensation everywhere. Awesome. What else? So, increased heart rates. Isn't that amazing? You just did 10 seconds of nothing, no movement, and you increased your heart rates. Heat, then more relaxed all over. That's another very cool observation is when you fully contract all your muscles and then relax them, now you know what it feels to be fully relaxed. So this is also a nice contrast for stress reduction. A lot of times we're holding tension. A full contraction and then relaxation gives you contrast. It's actually a very proven technique for relaxing your body. Perfect, guys. So everything's firing up. You're feeling more heat generating. What this is telling you, right? So when else do you feel that type of heat generating and that type of heart rate being elevated? Maybe the last time you worked out, right? Maybe if you're walking up a hill. So what I'm trying to get across here is that you don't have to be working out to get the benefits of working out, right? There's obviously very important benefits of movement and keeping your joints mobile. But if you're sitting down in the car or at work, take 10 seconds, just do a full contraction, static contraction, activate those muscles. And what that's gonna do is that's gonna prime your metabolic rate to automatically feed more fuel to those muscles, which means you're gonna burn more calories. And if you're cold, this is beautiful in the wintertime, or if you're in a room that's just like full of air conditioning, boom, just it warms you up, okay? It's not about having a hot drink, none of that stuff, right? It's generating heat internally. That is when you feel heat being generated, that is when you know your metabolic rate is increasing. Let me give you another example. When you're sick, what happens? What happens when you're sick in terms of what's happening in your body? What goes up? Temperature, does it go up or does it go down? Temperature goes up, right? I don't know how that affected the stream here, but when we're sick, we get a fever, right? Temperature goes up. What's going on there? What's happening is our metabolic rate is increasing to fight the infection. That's what's going on. So anytime your body is generating more heat, it's an indication that your metabolic rate is increasing, and thus that essentially means your body is using more energy or requires more energy, aka calories, to do what it needs to do. Does that make sense? It's pretty cool. That's why I love teaching this stuff, because not a lot of people think about this, and I don't believe a lot of people teach this stuff the way I do. So yes, small, smart choices applied over time equal huge results. Look at the hinges on this door, okay? So this door is 8 feet tall, and those hinges, there's 3 of them, are like maybe 2.5, 3 inches. There's a saying, small hinges swing big doors. You don't have to overhaul your life to be healthy. You don't have to overhaul your life to be fit. It's about making small little choices every single day. And going back to Mario, the Uber driver this morning, I was saying, I'm like, listen, you know, it's not about like one weekend you had this, you know, massive, this bender and you just kind of lost control and had a ton of food and that's why you're 50 pounds overweight. It's the small little things. It's the donut every single day. It's the Coke every single day that leads over time, 5-10 years, to packing on the weight. That is how we gain weight. And that's also how we lose weight. Okay, and this is really important to remember, is that losing weight is not a 21-day, it's not a 30-day thing. It's a lifestyle. And it's the small choices done properly over time that lead you to lose weight. And the cool thing is that when you do it like that, when they're so insignificant, these small changes are so insignificant, like replacing your Coke with a glass of water. When you do that, if you just did that alone, if that was the only thing you did, within a year, it would be incredible to see the difference. I'll just give you an example. So one Coke is, let's just call it 300 calories. I can't remember exactly how many, but let's call it 300. There's roughly 3,500 calories in a pound of fat, okay? So 3,500 divided by 300 is, let's call it 12, okay? So let's just say 12 days to lose 1 pound of fat. 365 divided by 12, now I'm really asking myself to do a lot here. Let's call it 30, let's just call it 30. Everything else being equal, you could potentially lose 30 pounds in 1 year simply by replacing 1 can of Coke with a glass of water, right? That's powerful, assuming everything else is equal. So there you go. Yeah, does that make sense, guys? Is that encouraging, right? So remember, like everything you're doing is either moving in your favor or working against you to some degree with respect to the life you want to live. But again, you don't have to be fanatical about every small decision, right? It's about kind of doing the best you can with what you got and kind of living your life and enjoying it in the process. You don't have to be like fussing over every little thing. But at the same time, small things done well over time can make a huge difference. So, have you guys enjoyed this? Let's get some hearts going. I mean, the hearts have been flowing all session here, so thank you so much. I really enjoy you joining me and for all the love and the hearts. And I'm gonna put this out there as my goal. I kind of set a goal of hitting 200,000 hearts by the end of October. So that gives us 2 months. And you know, okay, so why do I even care about that? Well, again, the way Periscope ranks stuff is based on the most loved, right? And it's not an ego thing for me, but if I can get higher and higher up in the ranks, what that essentially means is that we can get this type of information in front of more people. And just imagine what that could do for somebody. To understand that if they're sitting in their chair, for instance, they can contract their muscles and actually help their body burn more calories in 10 seconds a couple times a day. These are things that most people don't even know about. And this is why I'm so passionate about sharing this message and teaching others, because I feel that I have a very unique perspective on stuff, as you guys obviously know, and I love to teach. So whatever we can do to get as many hearts as possible every single session, I greatly, greatly appreciate it, because I want to serve a lot of people. I love Periscope, as you know. I think it is an absolute breakthrough in terms of the ability to connect on a much more personal and authentic level. And I love doing this. Like, I can't even get this information across in a blog post or on Twitter or on Instagram or on Facebook. It would take me years to create some kind of written, formatted thing for those platforms. I love this because now I can take this video, I can put it up onto YouTube, can help thousands of other people who might be asking the same questions, and it's just absolutely amazing. So yeah, so again, thank you so much for the hearts. Let's keep them flowing. A couple other housekeeping notes. So it's just referring to, this is the first pass, as they call it, of the upcoming book, The All-Day Fat Burning Diets. Thank you for the love. And so the book comes out December 22nd. It's just, here's actually a bunch of the edits that we had to make. I just kind of jotted some notes down on the front page, sent them off to Rodale a couple days ago. And here's the funny thing. So, so this book comes out December 22nd. I actually have, I don't know if I've mentioned this, I've got a cookbook follow-up to this one. So the cookbook is called the All-Day Fat Burning Diet Cookbook, and that comes out next year. So I just got all these edits done, got everything like revised, and everything's good to go. And then the next day I sent this in. The next day I'm like, I got an email from my editor. They're like, do you have the table of contents and the list of all the recipes for the cookbook? And I'm thinking, are you serious? Like, I haven't even thought of that. I haven't even started on the cookbook. And the one thing I did mention with Rodale, and I'm gonna make sure this is going to happen, and I'm sure you've noticed this, is that in the publishing world, the name of the game, okay, and I have no problem kind of divulging how this monster works, is you come out with a diet, and then you follow the diet with a cookbook. You've probably seen it all over the place. Wheat Belly cookbook. Virgin diet cookbook. You know, all sorts of, you know, diet cookbook. And that's fine, right? That's cool. But I told my publisher, I'm like, listen, I'm not playing that game unless the cookbook is an absolute stunning coffee table type of book with beautiful pictures for every single recipe. Because I don't know about you, but I cannot stand looking through a cookbook that is 150 recipes and it's all black and white text with a couple images in the middle of the book somewhere, right? I mean, do you guys feel the same way? I just want to make sure I'm on the same wavelength here. Because you want to make a great dinner? Well, how about if you actually saw the picture of the dinner so that it inspired you to make it? What a novel concept. And there obviously are some tremendous cookbooks out there. A lot of the food bloggers do an amazing job with this. So I told Rodale, I was like, listen, I'm only doing a cookbook if it's gonna be like that. Hardcover, beautiful pictures. And so that's coming out next year. And I'm really excited about that as well. Because as you guys know, we do a lot of recipes and some really awesome things. And my whole philosophy on eating is I'm a big healthy foodie. So I love great food, but it's got to take under 20 minutes. It's got to taste great, and it's got to be allergen free. Those are kind of my stipulations for recipes. And obviously the cookbook will be a follow-up to this, so it'll fit in with the guidelines from this all-day fat-burning diet. And yeah, so lots of fun stuff on the go. What else? Yeah, if you wanna follow more of my shenanigans, you can join me on the blog, yurielkaim.com. The link for that is in the profile on my Periscope here. And also, I encourage you to join me over on YouTube. I had a big epiphany this weekend. So I was at my friend Ryan Lee's great event called Freedom Fest, which is all about, bringing together heart-centered entrepreneurs who want to really, get their message out to the world and kind of do so in a way that's pretty awesome. So one of the things that I realized was that I love doing video, as I've mentioned 1,000 times. And I've done a lot of videos on YouTube, and it's very easy to get scattered on like blogging, Facebook, Instagram, whatever else. So I really do enjoy doing videos because it's very easy for me to do. And that's a good indication that you're doing the right thing for you when it's effortless. You shouldn't have to struggle to do what you want to do. So writing a blog post for me is not very natural, right? So I have an editor that I work with who's actually worked on both my books with me as well. So he's amazing. So a lot of times if I'm not writing a blog post, he'll take our videos and we'll have them transcribed, and then he'll kind of clean them up into a beautiful written text. Because otherwise I would just put the video up on the blog, and I know some people would rather read. So we try to give it to you guys in all formats. But in terms of me producing new content, and like all of the questions you guys submit into our business, I answer. Every single one of them is being answered now on video. So our customer support team has all the answers. They will either link directly to a video on YouTube, and because I'm basically creating the videos to answer those questions. And I just want to pump out a ton of amazing things to help people. So YouTube for me is the easiest and the most prolific way to do that. So if you're not following me on YouTube, jump over there. It's, again, to make your life even more difficult, it's not Yuri Elkaim, right? Because that would be too easy. It's Yelkaim1. So it's like my Periscope handle, but with the number 1 at the end. And you'll see everything from workout videos to recipe videos to Ask Yuri videos to everything in between. And there's gonna be a lot more stuff going up there. So go over there now, subscribe. You're gonna get daily videos pretty much. And it's a lot of fun. So I'm gonna be taking you on little walks around the neighborhood with the dogs, and I'll be doing all sorts of random stuff. And it's pretty cool. So that's what's going on. That's kind of a big perspective shift that I had. And I think as we move forward into like where we want to spend, like where I and my team, right, want to spend more time is really going to be around video and really around YouTube, because it's important to focus in whatever you do, right? So whatever you do in life, focus on what you're best at doing, and just let everything else go. Like literally let everything else go. And that's still something I'm really working towards as best I can. And at some point, I know it just in the back of my mind, at some point I'm just gonna say, you know what? Forget everything else, let's just focus on YouTube and Periscope. I have a feeling that that's the way things are gonna go. So, but I don't know. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the videos. I'm gonna jump off now because I'm gonna go watch the US Open final. Hopefully it's starting soon. And who do you think is gonna win? Djokovic or Federer? That'll be the final question in this session. I'm saying Federer in 3 sets. Thank you so much, Tony. I appreciate you joining me. I'm saying Federer in 3 sets. If he plays like he's been playing for most of the US Open, or for all of the US Open, he hasn't had a bad game. I think he's gonna run away with this. However, Djokovic, he's not just a pushover, so I think it's gonna be very interesting. I would love to see Federer win it. It would be awesome. I think it'd be great for him, great for everyone else. And not so great for Nole Djokovic, but that's the way it goes. Cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Let's finish off with a bang. Let's just tap the screen. Let's get some more hearts in. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow is Monday. Yes, it is. Have a great evening. Enjoy the tennis match. And I will speak to you then.